they couldn't handle that. If they really knew the fact, they really don't. To have a gift, it is a curse. To be the light, you must feel the burn. Given the power to move a tide, Now shake the sea. Imagine that, how hard it'd be to go again.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel where we discuss popular mainstream music. And in this video, we're going to be discussing declining pop stars, okay? Declining pop stars. Pop stars who are really big and then have failed to make a strong comeback, okay? So failing comebacks, declining pop stars. I don't know which title I'm gonna choose, but I'm gonna choose one at the end. But before we get into the video, if you enjoy the little snippet of music in the beginning of this video, that is my music, okay? Check it out, guys. All you have to do is type my name, Sam Dolphin, here on YouTube, and my music will pop up in the search bar. You can also listen to my music on all music streaming platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Music. So definitely check it out, guys. I'd really appreciate it. So getting back into the video, okay? And we're talking about declining pop stars with failing comebacks. And before I get into this video, I want to make a huge disclaimer. First of all, this topic is very subjective and a little bit sensitive to me because these artists are not really failures, in my opinion, in my eyes. There's a lot of factors to put into it. First of all of these artists can successfully go on tours, okay? Whether it be like an arena tour, a stadium tour, even a theater, like a kind of theater venue type of tour. All of these artists can go on successful tours, so it's really subjective to really call them failures. That's why I don't even want to use that. They all can sell out shows, okay? So they're still working artists that can monetize off of their music. Also, you have to consider the era that we're in, the streaming era. You know, radio is no longer a big thing. No one listens to radio. You know, the TV and having MTV, that mainstream platform, is no longer a thing. Now we have social media, and social media is split through so many different sectors. So the era also plays a huge role as to why these artists have seen a decline. Okay, a lot of them came out during a time where MTV was still a thing. Radio was still a thing, and then it quickly really switched into streaming. Okay, and then on top of like not being out for a minute, this could have led to a lot of the decline in the music sales. Like, music isn't selling in general. It just isn't selling in general. Even the biggest artists, what they're selling isn't what was considered a big sale back in the day. So the music industry in general is declining. So to make this argument and topic fair, you have to consider those. That's why I don't really see these artists as failures, because I see the different factors that play in. The music industry is just different. People just don't sell the same way anymore. Okay? And you don't have these mainstream platforms like the radio and television that had everyone listening and watching all at the same time, the same thing. Social media has multiplied by 1 billion, so it's harder to get attention nowadays. Okay, so it's very important to understand that, so you can more accurately assess these artists. Okay, these artists I'm about to assess. And I just feel like we need to have more genuine conversations. We need to start understanding that music does not sell the way it used to. Okay, once you understand that, a lot of your questions about why a certain artist isn't doing that well will be answered. And I'm not saying that they can't be successful artists. I'm not saying that they can't be a comeback or something like that, because there's been artists who've been very successful, like Sabrina Carpenter, Charlie XCX, Chappell Roan. Okay, however, these artists are artists that came out not too long ago, literally in the mid 2010s. Okay, they came out very, very brief, like it was not a long time ago. They're very relevant and still new in a sense. So this quick decline to me is very telling, and the amount of artists I have on the list is also very telling that this isn't just an artist issue, this is an industry issue. Okay, so want to be very clear on that, okay, because I'm all about being fair and being honest. Okay, blaming artists on things that are bigger than them is annoying to me, and just looking them as like failures when it's so much more harder to climb the charts, to be mainstream nowadays. All of this stuff is relevant, and the idea of success changes. This is why I said that these artists to me are still really successful, because they can still sell out shows. That's one thing that won't go down, is the selling of shows. Dua Lipa can still sell out shows. Chloe Bailey can still sell out shows. So they can still monetize and make money, and they still got people who are focusing on them. It's just music sales are naturally at a decline. Okay, so very important. I just want us to be fair. Let's be fair when we're critiquing these artists. Let's be honest and fair. All right, so with that being said, we're gonna start off with Lil Nas X. Okay, Lil Nas X. Now, Lil Nas X is in his new era right now, which is the Dream Boy era. That's his album, and he's put out 2 singles. So Lil Nas X put out 2 singles, Light Again and Need That Boy. Okay, and there definitely has been a decrease in his popularity from the Montaro era, where he did really well. Also Old Town Road, which was like the longest like single, like number one, longest like single in Billboard, like one of the longest. I think it was like in for like 19 weeks in number one. But really powerful start. Okay, really powerful start. Did really good with Old Town Road, and then his album Montero did really well. Breaking records, breaking YouTube video records. The YouTube video views were just astronomical, really large. And now that we're in his new era, there's definitely been a decline. Now, before we talk about Dream Boy, what happened before Dream Boy was J. Christ. Okay, now this was a video that I personally didn't agree with, not because I didn't like the song. I actually like the song J. Christ, but the meaning and the attacking people's religions and the mockery, I wasn't going to get aboard of that. I'm not a religious person. However, I do believe in respecting other people's religion. So I totally understand. But the thing about that incident is that it really left a bad taste on people's mouths. And people really got uninterested with like Lil Nas X. Even some of his Christian fans that were fans of his. So, and I don't even think his fans really left, but the general public kind of lost interest, okay? And with Lil Nas X, he was using a lot of those gimmicks, okay? Attacking religion or mocking religion or just using religion in order to kind of create a lot of buzz and talk, and it worked. It worked for a while, and now it clearly hasn't. J. Christ got a huge backlash. He ended up going online and apologizing, not really apologizing, but explaining himself about the issue, and it stunted his whole album release. So he kind of stopped and went back to the drawing board. And now he's come back with Dream Boy, with Light Again, the single, which is like a really big party single. Okay, nothing about religions or anything like that. But it hasn't really gotten anyone's attention. Now, Light Again has gotten, I think, about 2 million views, okay? Which is not bad, but when you compare it to like his other views, the 260 views, like the amount of views that he has on his other videos, it doesn't compare. It doesn't compare. His second single, Need That Boy, it barely even cracked 1 million views, which is really low for Lil Nas X, okay? For Lil Nas X, that's very low. This is a person who stops the internet, really. He stops the internet, and now he's literally not making much of a budge on the internet. So this is a clear decline, okay? Now, I still think that Lil Nas X can be successful. I personally think that he should keep continuing making his music, keep pushing it, even though it's not getting the same attention. It's clearly not getting the same attention because he's not brushing he's not, rubbing all the wrong people off the wrong way. He's not doing the clickbait stuff. He's not attacking religion, mocking religion. So he's basically being kind of very organic and just, you know, giving out good music. But it's not getting attention like it used to. So that is the decline. However, I feel like he needs to continue doing his music, keep pushing it, and reintroduce yourself to the public, okay? It's like a rebirth, and sometimes you might fall in your numbers, but with consistency, I believe that he can get back up with consistency. Next is Shawn Mendes. Okay, Shawn Mendes. Now, Shawn Mendes is in his comeback right now, okay, with his album out, Shawn, okay, where he's getting intimate, and he's released quite a few singles, okay? Why isn't that enough? Okay, Golden Heart, okay, Nobody Knows, 4 singles, okay, videos and everything, and none of the singles have been able to crack the top 10. I don't even think the top 20. So for Shawn Mendes, these numbers are very low for Shawn Mendes, okay? He's seen a decline in his popularity as well too. Now again, I always think these declines are subjective because again, like he also did a really big tour, Families and Friends tour he did in America, and they sold out pretty well. So a lot of these artists, again, I'm going to keep reminding you guys, these artists can sell out shows. It's just really more so their musical numbers. And to get those high numbers, you really need the audience, the public's attention, and that's harder to get. Now with Shawn Mendes, he's taken a huge break, okay, from his last album, which was quite a few years ago. He's dealt with, you know, some of the controversies, you know, with breaking up with Camila and all that type of stuff, but he's taken a long break from the music industry, and now he's come back, but his relevancy has went down along with that long break, and he struggled to kind of finish an era. I remember the last tour he couldn't finish, on top of having a long break, you know, on top of, you know, also not understanding what he wants to put out musically, because, you know, he's getting to know himself recently. He came out, you know, with his sexuality, didn't really put a label onto it, but just kind of explained that it is different sometimes. So like, you know, he could not been in the space to really do music, to put it out there. You know, a lot of your identity issues can mess with your mentality and being a performer and putting yourself out there. So a lot of these things kind of ruined the momentum. His fan base kind of grew up, and there's nothing, you can grow with your fan base, but you literally have to grow with your fan base. So if you leave your fan base at their teens and then you come back in your mid-20s and they're all grown up now, you know, you could, you know, starve them of that initial need and connection that they had with you. A lot of these breaks can affect a person's career negatively if it's too long. And you have to consider, we went from digital to strictly streaming, okay? Shawn Mendes came out like 2015, 16, like radio was still declining, but was still a bigger, like the mid-2010s, music in the mid-2010s versus the music industry now is completely different. There was more mainstream attention during 2016. So you had a long break, okay, controversies, and your fan base grew up. And now you have new music, and a lot of the music isn't hitting hard. Now, I personally listen to his music. I like the songs. I like a Heart of Gold. I really like that song, but I realized that it's really short and it doesn't have a lot of climax. Not a lot of ad-libs, not enough soul. When you are coming back from a long break, you gotta make your music big. It's not enough just for you. You gotta it's not enough just for you to come back. You gotta make your music big, especially if you want people to listen to it in this streaming era where it's hard to get people to pay attention to music. So his music is a little bit lukewarm. It's not bad to me, but it's a little bit lukewarm. It's not enough to make a big, hey, I'm back. He doesn't have the, hey, I'm back music right now. He has the, I'm chilling, I'm doing well, y'all love me music. And it's like, you don't have the same attention on you the way you did before, at least with music wise. And music has changed. So he's doing a lot. He's definitely seen a decline in the sales into the charting with his music. And people are trying to figure out why. And I really feel like his long break and the way the music industry has changed has affected him. And because his fan base grew, you know, these were young girls who had crushes on him, and now their fan base grew. You know, you have to stay connected, otherwise you're gonna lose them. So just like Lil Nas X, Shawn Mendes is gonna have to build himself back up. Okay, they're not failures because they can still sell out shows, but to get that music relevancy, they're gonna have to build back up. They're gonna have to do more award shows. They're gonna have to do festivals. They're gonna have to be out here. They really do. You can't be lukewarm with it. Not in this era. You just can't be. Next, we have Dua Lipa. Okay, Dua Lipa. And she came out with Radical Optimism. Okay, Radical Optimism. Which Dua Lipa, her Future Nostalgia, her album before, did absolutely incredible. Also, it came out during a time of COVID. Okay, this is where everyone was inside the house, so she got a lot of attention. A lot of attention on her music just solely on that. Okay, because COVID was still a streaming era, but because everyone's inside, there was a lot of attention put out into your music. So Future Nostalgia did well. And also the music of Future Nostalgia was just really great. It was very unique, very different sounding. She did an awesome job with that album. Now she comes back with Radical Optimism. And this album doesn't do nearly as well as Future Nostalgia. And her singles Houdini, Training Season, Illusion, they don't crack the top 10. I think the highest one was, it was either Houdini or Illusion, and I think it hit number 11. But most of the songs did not, and then it went back down. None of the songs cracked down top 10. For Dua Lipa, she charts pretty well. She charted very well with Levitating. All her songs from Future Nostalgia, her singles did very well. She also had a single for Barbie, which came right before her Radical Optimism era, which did really well as well too. So she was doing pretty well until she released this album. The thing I would say about this album is that sonically, it sounded very similar to Future Nostalgia, just very similar sonically, and that sound just wasn't unique anymore to, you know, capture anyone's attention in that sense. It wasn't a unique sound. So her songs did sound the same. You had that 70s, 80s disco, vintage vibe. They kind of sounded the same. And I think the biggest issue with Dua Lipa is the sound. I think she needs to work with producers who can introduce her to a new sound. That sound that she has with Future Nostalgia, it carried into Radical Optimism. And it was a very unique sound, but because it's very unique, if you keep doing it, it'll sound similar in the same. Okay, so I think the sound is what affected the sales. They just wasn't a unique sound enough. The sound was still the same as her Future Nostalgia. Radical Optimism, those singles really sounded alike, and it was getting redundant in that sense. Not bad songs, but kind of the same. So it kind of didn't pique the public's interest as much because the sounds were just too similar. Alright. The promotion was great though. The promotion was great. The music video's great. The promo great. The performance is great. And her tour sold out very well. And she sold out really well. This is why I'm saying this is still a little bit subjective. Okay, because these artists are still selling well when it comes to shows. So show-wise, she did very well. She sold a lot. She did great during her show. Sold out a lot. So she's still doing great in shows, but musically, she's losing that relevance because the sound is the same. It is the same, and she needs to evolve her sound. So what do you guys think about Dua Lipa? Okay, next we have Doja Cat, okay, and this is another very successful artist. Doja Cat actually did really well in her last tour, so she sold out a lot. Even her festivals get a lot of attention. So as a show person, she's always going to be able to sell shows. However, her last album, Scarlet, did a lot less, okay, than her previous album. You know, which again, we understand music is different, it's changing. However, with the amount of momentum that Doja Cat had, that wasn't supposed to happen. And I feel like Doja Cat kind of shot herself in the foot with all the controversies with her fans, you know, kind of cursing out her fans. And she got into so much controversy with her fans. She was just cursing them out, cussing them out, just doing everything she can to kind of turn off the public. And the public in general, her fans are always going to love her, but the public in general, she was just turning them off with the way that she was engaging with the public. Doja Cat was just being very hard to deal with, and she could have done that intentionally because she didn't want to deal with so much of the mainstream attention and success. Some artists will kind of low-key sabotage themselves in a way because they don't want to be that top artist where they always are on the road, always out, always being looked at. They don't want those expectations, and I kind of low-key feel like Doja Cat did that because she is a very interesting artist, and I think she wants to break away from just being the standard pop thing. However, it did shot her in the foot because it turned off a lot of people. And then she did the whole religion thing where she was attacking religion and using devil symbolism. So, you know, she was turning off a lot of people. And then on top of that, she changed her sound a little bit. She went for it was still pop to me. You know, Paint the Town Red still sounds like pop to me. However, she went from a different sound, a sound that's a little less pop, a little more mellow. Also with her singles, Demons, that wasn't necessarily the pop sound that she had. So she also turned away from her sound. She went for more mellow tone, something more rappy, something more poetic, something less pop. And I feel like you could be very pop and still be very poetic, but her sound, the whole Scarlet sound, is just a tone. It's stepping away from that pop sound, and it's more mellow pop, more chill, and more rap focused. Which I still think you can be rap focused in pop music, but she clearly turned away from the sound. So turning her fans off, turning off the audience, you know, pissing them off, the devil symbolism, and then changing her sound because she didn't want to do pop sound, that really did have an effect on her music sales, okay? And I think that played a huge effect. Still, though, very successful, just like all these other artists, still very successful, still can sell out shows. However, we did see a decline in the music and her relevancy, okay? And it could have been intentionally done because, like I said, I feel like Doja Cat is more alternative and she doesn't like the box of pop. So she could have done it intentionally. But what do you guys think about Doja Cat and her music, Ryan? What do you guys think about her? Next on the list is Ice Spice, okay? Ice Spice, okay? Now, Ice Spice has been a lot of factors to her decline with music. Now, again, she's still selling out shows. She's still touring, so she's not a complete failure. And I don't believe any of these artists I'm mentioning are failures. They still can sell out. I was literally walking outside. I was in the city in New York, and I was seeing Ice Spice's face like everywhere. So I'm not saying these people are failures, but they are experiencing decline in their music, okay, in their sales and their numbers and their charting. And Ice Spice is another example. Now, Ice Spice, she was doing really, really well when she came out with her first EP. She was getting a lot of collabs. She was like the big artist out there. Then she started to reach her decline. Fart song, okay, the Fart song. Now, it charted, okay, people still listened to it, but people were a little bit turned off by the lyrical content and the fact that it wasn't that good. Now, I personally never looked at Ice Spice as a lyricist, so I never expected that. I always expected just fun music from her. But on top of the Fart song came the controversy with her and Cleopatra, and Cleopatra exposed her and how she was basically treating Cleopatra. And that completely turned people off. It turned people off. It made people not really like Ice Spice. And it made people go even harder on the fact that she's not much of a lyricist. So the Cleopatra drama definitely made a huge effect on Ice Spice in the way people looked at her. And then her album Y2K, got a lot of criticism. A lot of people I felt like the music didn't live, the music didn't live up to the title. Some people even thought the cover wasn't Y2K. There was a lot of criticism on her music. Now, again, personally, I never took Ice Spice seriously as a lyricist, and I always felt like that was common sense. Like, even the song that put her out there was very simple. It was very like ABC nursery rhymey, just kind of fun, just fun to listen to. So I never expected her to put out major content, but I guess a lot of other people did. So she got a lot of criticism for her Y2K album because it didn't have the content that they were expecting, talking about lyricism, connection to Y2K. People didn't feel like there was a lot of Y2K connection to it. And a lot of people felt like she was just kind of using the title just to sell the album instead of really diving deep into the Y2K sound and giving quality lyrics. So with that being said, she saw a major decline in her sales. Y2K didn't do as well as her previous project at all. And then she got a lot of pushback from the public when it came to the issues with her and Cleopatra. So this was definitely a major decline and probably one of the fastest ones out of everyone in this list. Hers was the most fastest one because she had such a fast climb up and then such a huge or such a strong decline. Now again, Ice Spice is still touring. She's still touring. She's still selling out shows. So it's still very debatable. I would not consider her a failure at all. She's made it with music. So I would not consider her a failure at all, but she has experienced a decline in her music career and relevancy. So what do you guys think about Ice Spice and her decline with the music sales, her slight decline? What do you guys think about that? Now moving on to the next, okay, which is Cardi B. Okay, Cardi B. Now what's so interesting about Cardi B in this is that Cardi B has no follow-up. There is no second album follow-up. Her album, Invasion of Privacy, did super well, but it was way back in 2017. I believe 2017. Did very, very well, but a long time ago, and she hasn't released an album since. Now, she's had a lot of collaborations. Of course, the successful WAP collaboration, Up, was really successful, and I, including a lot of people, felt like she should have put her album after that. But she has not put in an album since, and there is no way she's gonna reach the same numbers as Invasion of Privacy. She just has been out of music for such a long time, so it's natural that she will have a decline. People don't even talk about Cardi B so much with rap anymore. So much, I haven't done a video on Cardi B and rap because there hasn't been anything out. So especially with this generation, with the streaming that we're dealing with, there is definitely going to be a decline in Cardi B sales when she decides to put out the new album, if she ever does. But her not releasing any album has made her music relevancy in the rap game just decline, like a lot, and it could be because she's not ready. Cardi B might not be ready to put out an album. She could be a little bit fearful. But for whatever it is, this is definitely going to apply to her, because there definitely is a major decline with Cardi B musically. She's just not in the conversation anymore, because she hasn't put out any albums. So what do you guys think about Cardi B? Okay, really big momentum, really successful, and just never played on the success with a follow-up album. So it's natural that she will experience a decline. Next on our list is Chloe Bailey. Now Chloe Bailey, it's really interesting talking about her because I don't really feel like there was definitely a decline from her first album, Pieces of Me, to her second album, Trouble in Paradise. But when I look at her decline, it's very subjective because I don't even think she's reached her peak. I just don't think so. I don't think Chloe Bailey has had the right promotion. Now, her Trouble in Paradise album definitely did less. It did not even peak at the charts at all. But I feel like there's a lot of bigger things going on. I feel like she's getting zero promotion from her label. She is signed to Parkwood, which is Beyonce's management. But there's not a huge association with her and Beyonce. You know, she didn't perform at Beyonce's tour, which I think would have done amazing for Chloe. There isn't a strong connection, and I feel like when you're signed to a big artist, that should be the most obvious thing, is to associate with that artist. So I feel like she should have opened for Beyonce. I feel like she should have had a feature in Beyonce's song. Like, there should be an association. That's what's gonna help ride her, you know, that's what's gonna help her and her fan base, because Chloe is very similar to Beyonce and she's signed to her, so we always thought of her as the next protege, but there just isn't that much of an association between her and Beyonce. You know, there is no promotion, there's no pictures with them together really. She doesn't open for her on tour. There's no songs featured by her, so she kind of lost that popularity with the Beyonce fans, which would have been her initial foundation. On top of that, no promo. The Trouble in Paradise got zero promo. Zero promo. You know, so I feel like Chloe is kind of not being done the best hand. Her management just doesn't push her enough. There's no promo, there's no support with Chloe. So it's natural that she would get her decline. And her association with Beyonce gets weaker and weaker every year, and that is her initial foundation. So I think Chloe going back to Chloe and Halle, the group, which they are going to have an album out next year. They actually announced that, is great for Chloe. I think it'll put her back up. People really fell in love with Chloe and Halle. So I think her getting back with Chloe and Halle, I think it's going to be really good for her. And I think she can set herself up. But I feel like Chloe just needs better business. I think the business behind her needs to be better. These other people in the list, their business is fine. It's just their consistency in certain things that they've done and chosen artistically. But with Chloe, I feel like there is not enough promotion for Chloe to get there. But I think if she gets back with Chloe and Halle and build together, I think she can get back up there. I definitely think she can get back up there. So what do you guys think about Chloe, okay? And last but not least, we have Normani, okay, Normani. And of course, you know, we talk about Normani here a lot, and Normani has definitely seen a decline with her career. She put out her first album, Dopamine, okay, which got same issue with Chloe, no promotion, very little push, except I would like more so look into her label. But Normani has gotten very little push for her album, like none, no visuals. I don't know whose fault it is. I don't know if it's the label, I don't know if it's her. Apparently she does have a video out for Candy Paint, but she never released it, which is very interesting. But hers was obvious too because of the 7-year break in between her music and then the lack of promotion. So it's obvious that she would reach a decline. But Normani is still that B. Normani is still that girl. Even when she puts out performances, I go crazy for it. I still go back to how I felt. So I feel like if Normani pushed, promoted, she can get back what she got, but she has to push and promote. And apparently she's going to be releasing a new album next year, which I think can regain her momentum if she's putting out stuff. But she's got to perform, she's got to promote if she wants to get half of the attention she used to get. Okay, so a lot of people pay attention actually to Normani. A lot of people pay attention to her, even if whether they want to admit it or not, whether it's negative or positive. So she gets a lot of attention, but she has to push her music. That's the most important thing. And if her label isn't going to do it, she has to do it. And, you know, I made a video about her, and I think that she's gaining back her confidence, you know, especially with that performance and the fact that she's going to put out another album so quickly. I feel like she's gaining back her confidence. So I feel like for Chloe and Normani, next year, 2025, can be great years for them. Chloe going back into her group, that will be really great for Chloe, and Normani putting out another album and hopefully doing more performances and promotion. They can get back to their relevancy. People like them. People really do. There's a reason why they were in the positions that they were in. So they can get that momentum if they push and promote. But yes, that is the video of our declining pop stars. Again, this is subjective. They're still all very successful because they can sell out shows. But in this new music climate with the streaming era, it is so much more harder to get people's attention with music. So you got to work harder. So what do you think about these artists? Do you think they need to promote more? Do you think they need to change their music, their brands? Do you think they need to be more consistent? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll check you guys out on the next video. Thanks for watching.